Hello students, let me go through second question in the poem The Flower written by author Tennyson. Let me discuss with the question answers. Right now the second question. Discuss the use of the opposites light and night, seize and weed, cast and store. In the poem The Flower. So what are the things used here? Words used here light, night, seize, weed, cast, store. Tennyson called his present poem, The Flower, as My Little Fable. The central idea of the poem is about the way people react to the new ideas and things. Actually, the flower, he called this poem, The Flower, as My Little Fable. Yes, who called Tennyson called the flower poem as My Little Fable. The central idea of the poem is about the way the people react to the new ideas and things. Here, the poem explains how people react to the growth of a flower. Is it clear? One second. Look at here. What's the central idea? The way people react to the new ideas and things. Here, the poem explains how people react to the growth of a flower. Look at here how people react to the growth of a flower. The narrator sows a seed and it sprouts a flower. So seed to flower. But here the people call it a weed. So what they are calling that flower as a weed. Yes, because people react the way the people react to the new things, new ideas and things. Initially people they are not going to accept any new thing. Yes, like children, look at here. Mostly children, they can't. Yes, they are unable to, whatever, they are unable to mingle with new things or new ideas or new persons. They are not going to accept the things as it is. They can't adjust it, and as if they think they have an idea that it's a ghost or something else. They are going to have a wrong assumption about that thing. In the same way, here also the people, the public, yes, in that area, they call that flower it is a that flower plant is a weed. Yes, they call that shrub it a weed. They criticize and curse the narrator as well as the people, whatever. They criticize and curse the narrator as well as the flower with what is that? Muttering discontent. Next, coming to the next line. When the flower grows tall and attractive, the same people are also cautious. Look at here. When the flower grows tall and attractive, the same people are also cautious about that. And they start appropriating it as a splendid flower. So what is actually it's not appropriating, just to correct the what is this in your publication? Appreciating. Is it clear? Appreciating it as a splendid flower. So wow, what a beautiful flower. So as the flower grows tall and tall, it's very became very attractive. Yes, they are calling it as what wow, what a beautiful flower. As the time progresses, the new is adopted widely and assimilated into the old. So as days were passing, so as days were time, yes, as the time progresses, the new is adopted widely. Yes, widely it's spread, it's adopted, yes, widely and assimilated into the old. So right now new became old thing. Gradually it loses its novelty. Yes, novelty it's losing. And becomes commonplace. Yes, because everybody, yes, they had taken the seeds from that flower. Yes, even they sow that seeds in their near their houses. Yes, so what happened? Whatever that the flower right now it lost its novelty. Yes, it's lost its novelty and it became a common thing, common flower to all. Once again, people lose interest in it and abandon it as useless. So what is that? Saying that useless. Finally, the same people call the flower weed. Yes, what is that? Here, the author, the poet, is saying that the way the people react to new ideas and things. Initially, they reject. They did not accept the things, new things. Mainly children and village background area people. Initially, they reject that ideas, whatever the new ideas or new things. But as days progresses, so what happens? They they'll come to know about that and they are going to accept them and they are going to guess whatever things they are going to accept each and everything new things and as gradually as what is that the time progresses the new novelty the flower here the flower was yes was losing its novelty. Yes, right now it became a common flower to each and everyone. Once again, yes, now, right now, they are calling it as a weed. Yes, next, Tennyson's poetry is full of rhyme and rhythm. Yes, they're explaining about poetry is a full of rhyme and rhythm. The poem, The Flower, represents his poetic genius for its use of the opposite. So here, saying about poetry, yes, poetic talent, yes, poet talent. Who's that? Tennyson's talent. So what is that? It is full of rhyme and rhythm. The poem The Flower represents his poetic genius for its use of opposites. So what he used in the poem, he used some opposite words. What are there? Yes, what's the question? In that question, what are the opposite words? Light and night, peace and wheat, cast and stone. So these are the opposites. Look at this. What is the meaning of it? Look at here. Light and night, seas and wheat, cast and stone. These are the opposites in the poem used by the Tennyson. Next, after the seed is cast, that is sown. What is the cast meaning of cast? Sowing. Sown. It is stolen by some thieves. Yes, what happened here? Seed is cast, sown in the soil, but it is stolen by some thieves. Here the two words cast and steal are opposite in meaning. Yes, two words are cast and steal. So these two words have opposite meanings. The words seed and wheat are opposite to each other. Yes, even seed and wheat. Here it's not seeds, ma. In your publication they gave seeds. Look at here, seeds and wheat. Yes, they had given in such a way, seeds and wheat. Yes, but it is seed. Yes, once again, check it out. It's not asthma, it's D. Seed and wheat. Is it okay? There are some mistakes, just go through them carefully. The words seeds and wheat are opposite to each other. In the same way, the flower represents light. The flower, what the flower represents? The flower represents light, but the people who are in dark are in the light. Look at here. Night. So night, it's not light, no, it's night. In the same way, the flower represents what the flower represents? Light. Here the flower he represented with light. But the people who are in dark or in night, here the people they are in dark, but the flower is represented as light. Yes. Therefore, Tennyson is a poetic genius and his poetry is full of rhythm and music. So here describing about the poet, yes, whatever the poetic talent. He used he used opposite words. What are they? Opposite words light and night, seed and wheat, cast and steel. These are the words he used in the poem. Next, third question. Let me go through third question. Explain why the story of the flower is called as fable. What qualities of fable does the poem have? Look at here. Explain why the story of the flower is called fable. Why does author poet call it that fable? What qualities of fable does the poem have? Look at here. Tennyson called his poem The Flower My Little Fable. It should be read as universal apologue and parable. The word etymologically, the word fable means a tale, parable, or an allegory which tells a moral story. So what is that actually? It's a saying some it's like a moral story. Yes, it's a giving it is it has some moral of the poem. It has some morals, following some morals. Here, the poem also tells some short moral story. Yes, the same thing this I discussed. The poem saying something about some moral story. The flower grows tall and attractive, irrespective of the opinions of the people. So, what is that? The flower grows. Yes, it's not at all. Yes, it's not at all caring whatever the others were. So it is doing its work, it's growing like anything, tall and tall, attracting irrespective of the opinion of the people. Because initially it is called as weed. Even he is saying us that, he is saying us that, yes, initially the society, yes, it opposes us, but we should not take their words into heart. Just we have to go gradually, we have to move. That's it forward. So slowly we are going to develop by slow we are going to step up. In the same way here the flower grows tall and attractive irrespective of the opinions of the people. Even we should not think about what are their ideas, public society, mainly society words. Initially people call the flower as sweet. Later they view it as a splendid flower. Yes, here whatever their achievements. So as long as you grow with good success, yes. So the people, society, once upon a time, the people who called you as a waste or something else, but right now because of your work, yes, your excellent work done by you in your life, because of your good career, yes, good profession, make public, yes, society to talk good about you. Yes, so in those days they used to call you as like a weed. They used to treat you like a weed. But right now you are going to but the situation, your hard work, whatever the way you follow to achieve your goal so that the people are going to appreciate you in the same way the flower yes grows tall and irrespective of the opinion of the people instead initially people call the flower as sweet yes but so what the flower is doing don't care yes so at last they call it as splendid flower wow what a super flower in the end the same people again call the flower a weed in the end, at last, the same people call him the flower as sweet. People change their opinions from time to time. So look at here. Initially, they called it as sweet. Next, as days are passing, because of the as the flower grows tall and very attractive, so the people called it as What is that splendid flower? But eventually, what happened? The people changed their opinion. So, what is that? Time to time, the public is going to, the society is going to change their views. We should have a strong belief. So, whatever, whenever we should listen the society words because they are going to change their ideas for time to time. So, based on from time to time, they are going to change. So, it depends upon the whatever the mood and time. But it's not like that. We should have a strong belief on ourselves. So self confidence is very, very important, irrespective of other views. So never think about other views. Hence, Alfred Tennyson urges us to be indifferent to praise and criticize others. This is what is that unattained. So unstated moral of the story. Yes, what is that unstated moral of the story? What moral of the story that never ever think about the society. Yes, you should praise the things or criticize the things according to your heart. That's it. But never ever compare with never ever have a belief in others' views. Yes, that's the moral of the story. Next, the poem. The poem The Flower is every the poem The Flower. What is that? Here, look at here. The people used to call what is that? It's a wheat. It's a wheat. Yes, but what is that? The poet called it as my little fable. So they tend to reject the unfamiliar as worthless and harmful. The people happy with the familiar things. Is it clear? Now coming to the next question. What is the next question? Third question completed. Now coming to the fourth question. Second and third are completed. The speaker of the poem says that the meaning of the poem is clear and uncomplicated. Do you agree? Justify your answer. Look at it. Justification. The speaker of the poem says that the meaning of the poem is clear and uncomplicated. Yes, clear and uncomplicated. Do you agree with that? Give justification. Tennyson called his present poem The Flower as My Little Fable. The central idea of the poem is about the way people react to the new ideas and things. So, what is that? What's the central idea? Just what's the idea of the central idea of the poem? The way is that about the way the people react to the new ideas and things. Here, the poem explains how people react to the growth of flowers. So, right now, how the people are got reacted with the growth of the flower. Let me have a look at it. The narrator sows a seed and it sprouts a flower, but people call it as weed. They criticize and curse the narrator as well as the flower with muttering dissent. When the flowers grow tall and attractive, the same people are also curious and they start appreciating it as a splendid flower. As the time progresses, the new is adopted widely and assimilated into old. Gradually, it loses its novelty and becomes commonplace. It became a commonplace. Look at here. Next. Once again, people lost interest. Lose interest in it and abandon it as unless useless. Finally, the same people call the flower as weed. The speaker of the poem says that the meaning of a clear and uncomplicated he says. So what's the meaning there? Over there, look at here. At last, once again, people lose interest in it. Yes, initially they call it, and next, as the flower started growing, So what happened as the seed started growing, after the seed started growing, so the people called it as the flower of that seed. They called as splendid flower. But as days are passing, at last they called. So as days are passing, so during that day, what happened? The new ideas, yes, they have got accumulated into old things. Yes, now right now the people are calling this as a wheat. The flower is called as wheat. Sorry. The speaker of the poem says that the meaning of clear and uncomplicated. He says, "Read my little fable. He that runs my read." Look at here. Have a look of this. However, the poem is not clear in its meaning and complicated one. It throws up multiple interpretations. So what is that? However, the poem is not clear in its meaning and complicated one. So it's not clear, it is not showing a clear meaning and it is a complicated one. It throws up multiple interpretations. The flower in the poem is interpreted in different ways. As the Industrial Revolution, Christianity, or Tennyson's own poetry. Yes, what is that? However, the poem is not clear in its meaning and complicated one. It throws up multiple interpretations. What are that multiple interpretations? The flower in the poem is interpreted in different ways as the what is that? It's like a here. What is that? Industrial Revolution, Christianity, or Tennyson's own poetry. In Tennyson's days, it was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. However, Tennyson suggested that the poem to be read as a universal apologue and parable. The narrator reflects while everyone may see things differently. They should avoid jumping to conclusions on their opinions of the things. So, what he was saying, the narrator reflects while everyone may see things differently. Yes, everybody, but they see the things differently. They should avoid jumping to conclusions on their own opinions, on their opinions of things. So he was saying that never should take our own decision by avoiding others' view of conclusion. Even we have to take their opinions. It's well and good. Now, explain the unstated moral of the story of the flower. What is that? Unstated moral of the story of the flower. The central idea of Tennyson's poem, The Flower, is about the way the people reacted to the new ideas and things. So repeatedly I am repeating the what is that sentence? What is that? The central idea? What is the central idea? Is that the flower is about the way people react to new things and new ideas. Here the poem explains how people react to the growth of a flower. So here even it's explaining how the people react to the growth of the flower. Because initially they call the seed as a wheat. So right now as days are passing, as the time is yes is passing like anything, what happens? The flower, yes, the seed is developed into a flower, yes, changed to a flower. Right now, public they are calling it as splendid flower. The narrator sows a seed and sprouts a flower, but people call it as weed. Yes, but people call it as weed. They criticize and curse the narrator as well as the flower with muttering discontent. When the flower grows tall and attractive, the same people are also cautious. Yes, what is that? They criticize and curse the narrator as well as the flower with muttering discontent. When the flower grows still tall and attractive as the time progresses, it, the new is adopted widely and assimilated into old. Yes, just know what's the moral. So, what is the moral? Unstated moral. Moral of the story of what is the flower by Teddy said. So, what he was saying, yes, whatever the seed says to flower, but people call it as seed. They criticize and curse the narrator and flower too. When the flower grows tall and attractive, the people started changing their mindset and started saying it's a house-planted flower. As the days are passing by, as the time progresses, the new is adopted widely and assimilated into the old. Gradually, it loses its novelty and becomes a common place to each and everyone. Once again, people low, people lose interest in it and abandon it as useless. Finally, the same people call the flower weed. Is it clear? Now coming to the next. Tennyson called his poem The Flower My Little Pebble. It should be react as what is that? Look at here. Universal epilogue and parable. So the word fable means a tale, parable, and or an allegory which tells a moral story. Here the people also tell some short moral story. The flower grows tall and attractive irrespective of the opinions of the people. Initially, people call the flower as sweet. Later, they are called as it is called as splendid flower. In the end, the same people again call the flower as sweet. People change. What is that here? The people change their opinion from time to time. We should how we should have a strong belief in our convictions irrespective of others' views. Hence, Tennyson urges us to be indifferent to praise and criticize. This is unstated moral of the story. So, what is that here? Look at here. Initially, they have some opinion because they did not accept the new thing. They call that as a what is that? Wait. But as days are progressing, guess what happened? Eventually, gradually, a seed just changed to flower. Now they are calling it as splendid flower. But so still as days are passing, so finally they called it whatever this seed, whatever this flower is called as a wheat. Yes, this seed or this flower is called as wheat. Initially they criticized and after as soon as the water after the seed after a seed changed into a flower, yes, they appreciated that work. And right now finally they criticize the what are the seed. Uh, they criticized what are the flower. Yes. So here what happened time to time the public opinion is changed like anything. Time to time. According to the situation wise they are changing their mindset. Initially they called it as wheat. And afterwards they called it as the how a splendid flower. Right now at last they are calling it wheat. Yes, this is a way how the swing what is that? Instability in the instability of human beings' minds. So based on the society word, so based on the society, yes, they are going to change their whatever the decision, opinions from time to time. So he's saying that don't change your opinions from time to time. Be in your opinion. Don't think with their others' views. Hence Alfred Tennyson urges us to be indifferent to praise and criticize. Yes, he's saying us to okay, it's okay whether you praise or criticize, but praise and criticize according to your whatever your heart says. Don't listen others whatever the words. Yes, because if we follow the society words, we can't grow up in our life. Yes, here the what the thing here the seed. Yes, without yes, taking care without taking care of the water of the society. Let them say it's no problem, but right now I'll grow like anything. And yes, it started growing like anything. Yes, now the people are calling it as what it's called splendid flower. Now, next question. Discuss the poem The Flower as a commentary on human nature. Alfred Tennyson was a famous Victorian poet. He was a poet laureate of England from 1850 to 1892. Tennyson was influenced by the Industrial Revolution scientific inventions at that time. His well-known people include what is that? His well-known people. It's not people, no. It's well-known poems. Include In Memoriam, Ulysses, and the Lotus Eater. So these are his works, well-known works. Lord Tennyson. Yes. Tennyson calls his present poem The Flower as my little fable. The central idea of the poem is about the way people react to the new ideas and things. Yet the poem explains how people react to the growth of the flower. The narrator sows a seed and it sprouts a flower. Yes, what he's saying that. Yes, initially people called it as this seed as a weed. They criticize and curse the narrator as well as the flower with muttering discontent. When the flower grows tall and attractive, the same people are also curious about that flower and they start appreciating it as a splendid flower. As the time progresses, yes, as the time progresses, the new is adopted widely and assimilated into the old. Gradually, it loses its novelty and becomes commonplace. Once again, people lose interest in it and abandon it is as useless. Finally, the same people call the flower weed. The speaker of the poem says that the meaning of the clear and uncomplicated. He says, look at here, the same thing. Here, the whatever the in this answer, it's the question, the same thing he had given, whatever we discussed right now. So he called what is that tennis and what's the moral of the story that here the narrator what he's saying that the how people react to the new things and new ideas. So mostly they can't digest the new things immediately. So it takes time for them. So he even here also initially called seed as a, whatever the flower. Actually seed changed to flower. They initially called it as a weed. Yes, weed. But as soon as yes, as it's growing like anything. So what happened? So it attracted the public and right now the flower is called a splendid flower. But again, actually, it lost its novelty and became commonplace to each and everyone. So what happened? So they had stolen the seeds of the flower, yes, and right now, and they sowed that seeds in a what is it nearby areas. So what happened right now? Even they have such type of flower, yes, flower, such type of seeds in their nearby area. So what happened? Its novelty it got lost because of it. It became a commonplace for each and everyone. So it lost its novelty. Now the speaker of the poem says that the meaning of clear and uncomplicated. He says, look at here. Read my little fable. He that runs may read. He that runs may read. But the poet is not clear in its meaning and complicated one. It throws up multiple interpretations. The flower in the poem is interpreted in different ways, as the Industrial Revolution, Christianity, or Tennyson's own poetry. In Tennyson days, it was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. So what happened? The poem is not clear in its meaning and complicated version. Why so? Because at the time it was the industrial revolution is going on. So when the Tennyson, yes, when he was when in his during his time there was a industrial revolution. In Tennyson days, it was the beginning of the industrial revolution. However, Tennyson suggested that people be read as a universal apologue and parable. The narrator reflects while everyone may see things differently, they should avoid jumping to conclusions on their opinions of things. Yes, what he was saying that yes, people don't think about the public opinion, just to go through your whatever the idea you have, just to believe in yourself, don't have any superstitious beliefs or any, don't trust other thing, whatever the other public yes opinions, have your own opinion, take a wise decision. It's up to you, but don't think with other opinions. Tennyson called his poem The Flower, My Little Fable. It should be read as a universal apologue and parable. So the word fable means a tale, parable, or an allegory which tells a moral story. The same thing what they explained in the previous answer, in the same way explain the same thing. Yes, everything is going to be same. Each and every question has somewhat related answer. Yes, saying the same meaning. What's the idea? Each and every question is saying the central idea of the poem. So what's the poem? What is about the poem? Explain each and every question. So if you read summary, it's enough rather than reading question answers from your publications. Just to go through the summary of the story. Sorry, what is the summary of the poem written by Tennyson? Okay, look at here. The flower grows tall and attractive irrespective of the opinions of the people. Initially, people call the flower a weed. Later, they view it as splendid flower. In the end, the same people again call the flower a weed. People change their opinions from time to time. We should have a strong belief in our convictions, irrespective of other views, and also Tennyson urges us to be indifferent to praise and criticize. This is unstated moral of the story. Next, the poem The Flower. So, what is that? Yes, what's the comment on the nature of it? It is giving comment on the nature of the human being. Look at here. People are unsure and apprehensive about the new or original ideas or things. They are unsure. Yes, they are not sure about that. Unsure. So they tend to reject the unfamiliar or as worthless and harmful. Yes, mostly children, yes, whatever they reject the unfamiliar things. They tend to reject the unfamiliar. Even some children, yes, they get scary like anything to some unfamiliar things. They cry a lot, even here, because they are unable to digest the unfamiliar things and they think as if they are worthless and harmful. Here, the people are happy with the familiar things. So, what is that? People always are happy with familiar things and they reject the unfamiliar things and they think as if they are worthless and harmful. Though it's whatever the idea and voting, though it's very good or though it has so many, yes, whatever the things, favorable things, but whatever the opinion they had in their mind, just it's a blind opinion. Just they go through their opinion, and even he's urging the public, yes, people not to believe the society views, not to believe the society ideas or whatever their views. Just to go on, just go or praise or criticize something or something in the whatever the society based on your own heart words, based on your views. So this is about the flower, the poem Flower by question answers from your publication. Essay type questions from your publication. The Flower, it's a poem by written by Alfred Lord Tennyson.